The government is calling for AI regulation. Some business leaders are telling us that it could be an extinction level threat. Should you be afraid of it? Or is this all fear mongering and there's actually an opportunity right now? In this video, I'm going to look at why people are afraid, then ask whether you should be afraid and what you should do when AI is now touching almost every aspect of business, whether you realize it or not. So why are people afraid? There are two big reasons. Number one, job automation. Of course, workers are afraid, but employers also don't know what to automate and how to go about it. Both are afraid that their competitors are going to get ahead. They're afraid of data security risks. They're not understanding how AI actually works. Business leaders have a reasonable fear that it may result in data and security breaches, especially because AIs are often trained on company data, which could then be leaked by mistake, or who knows what the AI is going to do. The biggest fear is that of the unknown, and also that if they install AI in their business, they won't truly understand what's happening inside their own business. This is something I've been working on a lot to make sure that the humans, the business owner like me, stay in charge. And we're going to discuss how to stop any AI problems from happening. Now, all of these are legitimate concerns, but what about the other side of the story? Would AI actually provide as much benefit in these areas as there are risks in terms of job automation? Let's set aside that you might not know how to automate jobs right now. Let's just say that you had this magic wand and you could wave and automate as many of the non-core jobs in your business so that you just left a team of A-player employees focused on the core thing that gives your company value. If you didn't have to worry about managing staff, doing all the routine stuff, wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that elevate you, elevate your management, elevate your whole team? So the other side of the coin of job automation is the ability to get that kind of company. We're not quite there yet, but at the rate of change, we're going to be there a lot sooner than you think. Companies right now are replacing huge portions of their customer service, of their marketing. There is a risk though, and the risk is that your competitors are going to do this before you and get a huge advantage. They're going to get the advantage of automating a whole bunch of things, reduce their cost, be able to increase their marketing spending, or just pocket that as profit. We're going to see a wave of companies go through the industry and have adopted technology faster than others, gotten the advantage of it, and importantly, learned how to contain all of the risks. And if they do those things right, which is completely realistic if you follow through the rest of this video, you're going to see you're going to be the one that wants to play that game. The second thing after job automation is data security. It's also a realistic risk using AI. But remember, AI helps on both fronts. Just as much as AI systems internally could compromise data, they're also being used really effectively to harden data security. So hackers have a hard time getting in. So we all know that security is a cat and mouse game, but AI is an opportunity to defend your digital systems as a risk. So the one thing that you can say is that without your defense, you're not going to hold up very well if AIs are causing problems either internally or externally. So it only makes sense to use the tools before what bad actor does, and they use them on you. The last big fear is the fear of the unknown, especially for those of us who've been running companies for a long time. We've gotten used to doing things in certain ways, and we've gotten used to doing things people first. So we start with people, and then we find technology that the people are running that help the people do things better. And then finally, we can automate some things. You can say, okay, well, these things don't need to be done by people. And I've been through several of these cycles, from commercial software to the internet to mobile technologies. Can you tell I got some gray hair here? But now we're faced with perhaps the biggest change yet, which is the ability to create a company without the people that have always glued it together. In fact, we're starting to see companies that are almost AI first. The architect of the business is coming up with the concept of the business, and the business is really a machine, and the best tool for the job, whether it be a person or an AI, is being put into that slot. So instead of thinking people first, it's concept first. This is both an opportunity and it's also a risk for any existing business owners like I am. And the reason is that new companies are being built with a fundamentally different understanding of how to get work done. The older companies that have existing market share, we've got customers, we understand value proposition, which is a real leg up, but often slower to adapt. So if you can be one of the few that has an existing business today and deploy these tools, you're going to have the advantage of both. You'll find you can take your experience, your best team members, your assets, your intellectual capital, and get so much more leverage because of the assets that you already have. So you're combining assets with new technology to get leverage. The new entrants, they might have the new technology, but they don't have the assets that you do. That technology will let them build the assets faster unless you play the same game. Now let's talk about what you can actually do to make it real in your business, to get the advantage of these new technologies as they evolve really quickly, but without losing control of the business and losing your best team members. The first thing to do is to focus on what the real core of your business is and the value that your business is bringing to the marketplace. So you're not thinking, oh, what AIs can I shove in here? You're thinking first, what's the value you're really bringing to the marketplace? And at the core of what you do for that business, how can you drive business performance? Now, it can't be that I'm driving business performance because I'm doing the thing. So I used to be a lawyer in an earlier career, and the doing the thing was doing the legal work. But most of the doing of the things, whatever it is, can be commoditized. This is what these AI tools, the automation that I talked about, is going to be doing. It's going to commoditize a lot of the doing. So the value that you and your team will add to the business is going to be your experience and your understanding, your creativity, and synthesizing all of that into a business machine that generates revenue. So your highest and best purpose as a leader is to understand where does this company add value and how do I apply all of those intellectual property and knowledge assets that I have in order to making that machine better. If you don't get out of the weeds, the largest contribution to the company will be something that a competitor's doing with a machine, and they're going to eat your lunch. So if you stop thinking about your business as the thing that you do, which is the commodity, and start thinking about it as a strategy of how do we deliver as much value to the marketplace, now you're thinking about how you can deploy AI in a way that gives value to your company and thus to your customers. The second thing that could be the most important thing, in fact, it's so important that I'm building a whole company around it, is that to understand that the way that most AI technologies work today is called probabilistic. And that means, in fancy talk, that the AI is just guessing what the best answer or the likely outcome is, and it can be pretty good at that, but it won't always get it right. If your business is going to be a machine, and we talked about this, being reliable, and you're the strategist, and if it's going to do this and reliably grow and create profits, just a few errors in this guessing that the AIs do can cause a huge amount of damage. I sometimes give the example of an AI deciding to reduce customer complaints by refunding all your customers' money and telling them to keep the product. Of course, like a human would never do that, but we don't really understand how these AIs think, and they might think that that's possible. So you want a business that's deterministic, not probabilistic. You want one where you know what the rules are. It's a predictable machine. So you want to get the advantages of AI without the risks of AI just making a guess that's wrong. You need to think about a deterministic wrapper around a probabilistic tool. This means taking advantage of those tools for what they're very good at, but not letting them run the show, because you don't really understand what's going on in the brain of these AIs. They don't really understand what's going on in the business and your rule sets around what you want done. I'm building my entire business called Atomized.AI around this principle to help business owners keep control and get maximum leverage at the same time. The third thing is to understand what is possible. And let's be honest, this is really hard. And I'm involved with AI on a daily basis, and even more experienced people than I am are working on this fundamental technology, and we're all saying the same thing. It's just not possible to keep up with everything all at once. It's this never-ending fire hose of technology. It's kind of taking over at an exponential rate. But here's the good news. You don't need to care about all of it. You only need to care about what's relevant to your business. You only need to care about the things that are going to make the biggest impact for you right now. This narrows what you need to pay attention to significantly. If you take a look at your major initiatives and ask the question, what tools, what technologies could I use in place of labor and my current processes, and that can guide you to a very targeted search of technology that will make the biggest difference. In the old days, we would make business plans for like 5 years because we understood all the tools, all the things we needed to know. We understood we could always hire more people. I talked about the original people first business. Now, a business plan written for 5 years can't possibly anticipate the technology. A business plan written 2 years ago could not have anticipated where AI is today. It is incredibly difficult to predict even a few months ahead. This makes your job to understand general market trends and what consumers want and what technologies for your value proposition are actually going to make a difference. If you keep on thinking that you can put together a business plan that will be good for multiple years when technology is changing that fast is frankly delusional. If you do that, competitors who you've never heard of will swoop in and start taking market share before you can react to it. Instead, look at this as a just-in-time problem. You know the direction you have to go. You know where the value is that you're driving to customers. So the question is, what tools can you deploy now that are actually relevant to making this better? Let's make this really practical. Just pick one big project, something you're working on right now that's going to change the course of your business. Instead of being afraid of AI, just decide that you're going to look into what AI tools can make that one initiative 5 times better and 5 times cheaper by starting with that one use case, something you're working on right now. I'd like to hear your thoughts about AI and share with you how you can adapt it in a way that grows your business and takes away the fear. So click here for my next video.